So Adam Hancock in Singapore, it's just gone 12 o'clock. Tell us what's happening on the Asian markets.
Well, it's a sea of red across the board here in trading this morning. All of the major indexes in Asia are down by at least 5%, some a lot more than that. We've seen big drops in Japan, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, here in Singapore as well. And this now, for some of these markets, is the third day in a row of this. Markets opened last week after President Trump announced these so-called Liberation Day tariffs, and they've been selling off ever since then. And I was speaking to an analyst a short while ago, and they were saying to me that this level of selling on a day-to-day basis at the moment in this region, they've not seen anything like this since the COVID pandemic, the early days, and also the 2008 global financial crisis. So it gives some indication of exactly how much fear there is out there on markets at the moment. A number of countries, they're trying to implement measures now to stabilize markets somewhat. For example, in Taiwan, they've put a temporary ban on short selling over the next few days. Markets as well have what are called circuit breakers, which kick in when the selling is just too much. We've seen it happening today in a number of countries so far in this region. In Japan, for example, before the market even opened this morning, in their futures trading, a circuit breaker kicked in to give investors a little bit of time to cool off. So anybody hoping for any sort of bounce back, we certainly aren't seeing it so far. The latest comments from President Trump that we've just been hearing there on board of Air Force One, they haven't helped with confidence here. Markets continue to fall, and the selling showing no signs of slowing at the moment.
Adam, I suppose it may depend on whether countries in Asia are friendly towards the Americans or not. How much does China's reaction affect the rest of Asia? Is there an interconnectedness, in other words?
Well, there hasn't been so far in terms of reaction. We know that China have obviously hit back with their own countermeasures, 34% import tariffs on US goods. They're the only country in this region to hit back so far. Other countries have taken a bit of a different approach. For example, Vietnam, which were hit with 46% tariffs. Their president held a phone call with President Trump, and they're looking to try and negotiate a deal. Been similar with Japan and South Korea as well. They're talking about negotiating with the US president. South Korea's trade minister is off to Washington to try to find some kind of deal. So far, none of the countries in this region have followed China's approach of hitting back. But that's not to say that that won't happen. And it's also not to say that countries in this region won't start to look towards each other to try and do new deals amongst themselves. We saw a meeting just before these tariffs were announced between South Korea, Japan and China. And there was talk of trying to get a deal, a free trade agreement between those countries. And that kind of deal and that kind of talk seemingly unthinkable a while ago between those three countries. But considering what the US is now doing to the global economy, countries are having to think about where else they can sell their goods to, who they can do trade deals with. And of course, China, the world's second biggest economy and a major player in this region. So many countries will be looking towards Beijing.
Adam, thank you so much indeed.